Indian authorities recently detained two American men traveling through the highly sensitive region of Kashmir. They had plenty of gear with them, but out of everything in their possession, authorities zeroed in on a single piece of equipment. It was a satellite phone. Compared to your sleek smartphone, this looks like a relic from the 1990s, complete with a massive, thick antenna. Yet finding this specific, clunky piece of hardware immediately triggered high-level national security protocols. In an era where billions of people carry instant global communication in their pockets, we have to ask, why exactly is this older-looking device treated with the severity of a smuggled weapon? In India, civilian possession of a satellite phone carries a strict zero-tolerance policy. It guarantees an immediate arrest. And that prohibition extends far beyond India's borders, particularly into nations known for tightly monitoring their citizens. In North Korea, being caught with one of these guarantees a lengthy, brutal prison sentence with virtually no chance of release. China enforces similar, aggressive restrictions to control exactly who can use them and where. When governments with completely different political systems all agree that merely holding a specific phone is a threat to the state, it points to a very specific underlying fear about what the device can actually do. To understand that fear, you have to look at how normal phones work. Networks like Jio, Airtel, or AT&T rely entirely on physical terrestrial towers. Because that tower is a physical piece of infrastructure sitting on sovereign soil, the government has ultimate jurisdiction over it. It acts as a choke point. Every call you make and every text you send is funneled through this localized gate before it reaches its destination. This allows authorities to legally monitor communications, pinpoint your exact location, or completely cut the cord to enforce a regional internet blackout. Standard cell phones pose no structural threat to a government because the user remains tethered to an infrastructure the state ultimately controls. A satellite phone breaks that physical tether. It completely ignores local cell towers. Instead of connecting to a mast down the street, the signal shoots directly up through the atmosphere to connect with an orbiting satellite. The data bounces down to its recipient, creating a completely borderless channel of communication that never touches the local grid. This means foreign spies, terrorists, or anyone the state considers an enemy can coordinate in absolute silence. There is no local ping to intercept and no geographic triangulation to track. By removing the local ground tower from the equation, the structural choke point vanishes. The government is left blind and entirely powerless to stop the transmission. Faced with this bypass, a local government is out of options. They cannot block a radio wave beaming directly from space, and they certainly cannot shoot down a commercial satellite. Since the infrastructure itself is out of their reach, their only viable defense strategy is to aggressively outlaw the physical handsets on the ground. That brings us back to the Americans detained in Kashmir. Under the law, they had brought their own untraceable sovereign telecom network right into a high-security zone. But there is a glaring exception to these strict laws. The very people who criminalize these phones are completely reliant upon them. Cabinet ministers and top-tier state leaders bypass standard cellular networks almost entirely. Their security details use satellite phones to ensure continuous contact, regardless of local disruptions. To them, relying on a vulnerable, destructible local cell tower is an unacceptable risk to national leadership. True security requires cutting out the middleman and owning your line of communication. But the moment a civilian or a foreign traveler applies that exact same logic, the device stops being a tool of protection and becomes an ultimate threat to the state.